like, is there anything, I just want to tune in with you. What has been arising for you? What is alive for you? What are some of the messages and insights that you have been receiving that you want to explore? And we can just follow that thread. I know, right? Oh.
I feel like I went up the roller coaster and I had a really nice view, and it kind of stopped for a while, and I was like, oh, this is like really, really nice. And maybe the roller coaster was closed down for maintenance or something. So I kind of got a really good look around. I was like, yeah, this is beautiful. Get cozy, settle in. And then I feel like the last month, since going through the 4-4, was just like head first, downhill, 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 just like so fast and accelerating at kind of lightning speed, where all time, space, reality almost going so fast everything stood still. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'd love to talk about that a little bit more, about the personal observations, experiences I've been having, but then also how that's feeding into our collective experience. And something that I've been noticing more and more is the conflicts and divides that are happening out of the collective experience. And I'm really here wanting to be a spokesperson, almost to remind everyone, remember your mission right now, remember your purpose. Like, you don't have time to be getting wrapped up in the drama karma and then the divide and who's saying what and this, that. And I'm really surprised. I'm seeing a lot of like quite well-known beings getting all tangled up in the web.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of zooming out. I'm like, okay, like we gotta come into our motherfucking badass light working energy right now. We really need to bringing through those frequencies and being grounded in that light and that ability to step into neutrality, you know, which is that multidimensional connection. And so even though my physical reality, the physical experiences of what Zoe has been going through, I've been managing to navigate and observe my way through the twists and turns and shifts from a place of introspection, because it's almost like I can kind of step outside of the part of self that's having this experience and be an onlooker. And so I can see, oh, interesting. Okay, so that was a timeline collapse. That's why that happened. There's something new forming. It's kind of fuzzy. So what needs to be looked at now? Oh, these are some of the beliefs that are coming through. Okay, so let's dive into that. Yeah. And so it's a really beautiful space to be in when the chaos seems to be rife all around us, but we're able to go through it. It's almost like we're on this fast roller coaster up and down, inside out, but it's almost like like everything slows down. So you can really pull apart everything and dissect it almost. This time is for dissection of like, oh, what has Zoe been thinking that's been governing this timeline? Is that serving her? Is that serving the collective? What is she holding back on? Well, it's energy, it's expansion, it's growth. Okay, so what needs to be surrendered in order for that to happen? So this is for me, there's nothing else to do right now other than to be really showing up in integrity and sovereignty with self and allowing self to explore what's happening, internal and external, but then also pulling through the higher self, letting the higher self govern the ship, letting the higher self let the being know, letting the higher self let the human know, well, you know, this is because of X, this is because of Y, and zooming out of any of the entanglements. And it's like, if we imagine humans as, well, we are all particles, but everyone is like, there's chaos, there's energetic chaos, where all the particles of humans, even though ironically everyone's kind of stood still and most people are in their homes, everyone's kind of like vibrating, but kind of bouncing around, like not knowing how to form, not knowing how to ground into themselves and into the reality around them. So everyone's looking for answers. And that's where this kind of web of duality is being fed so abundantly right now by the lack of consciousness that people are having when it comes to remembering their multidimensional self and their ability to create in the quantum field, and also their ability to come into neutrality. And so that's why there's so many rabbit holes and wormholes and this opinion and that experience. And yeah, physically, how is it affecting us? Well, you know, there's some inconveniences right now, you know, to our luxurious, abundant 3D lifestyle. There's inconvenience, you know, we have to stay still for a minute. But beyond that, the message and purpose that we have been training for years, it's like, now's the time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been witnessing within myself the last month, is how can I stay in the frequency of neutrality, have deep compassion for humanity, understanding all of the different layers, experiences and dimensional awarenesses that everyone is having, but stay strong in my field, and let my own life, the life of Zoe, the human, just in my life, what I've witnessed is just pieces are just being moved around right now.
Yeah.
You know, my purest intentions are going to be manifested. They are manifesting. Just the pieces are moving around a little bit, and so it's like I have to stay still.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like
sorry, that was quite a lot. I think quite a lot of information needed to come out then.
Yeah, no, that's great. You're excellent. This is great, because this is just what this has been. It's just been like traversing all of the different layers and multidimensional facets of our own consciousness. So one of the things that has arisen for me very strongly in the past, well, it's been a couple of years, but I'm still truly anchoring the fullness of it, because it's a massive energy. But it's the recognition that there actually, in my experience, there is no collective, that I am the collective. So whatever is occurring in my reality is unfolding as a fractalized feedback mechanism of some aspect of my consciousness. So what this has allowed me to do is go into the deep visceral layers of where I'm holding on to belief structures about myself or about the world that are not fully anchored in the purity of truth. And so with that, I get to look at always staying connected to that pillar. Although, you know, when we're in that roller coaster and we're in it, we're so in it. And it's like, we want to feel it. We want to get back there. But in those moments, it's like, no, just actually observe this, be with this, recognize it, see it for what it is, and then allow it to, what it usually does for me is when I look at those aspects, because it's just full ownership of my own consciousness, because I've got a belief going on somewhere, otherwise it wouldn't be happening. And so then I observe that, and I allow it to reveal its wisdom to me through a somatic expression. So if I let it land, so instead of trying to divert from all the patterns or change them into something else, if I just be with them and I let them land in my system, they come with a depth of wisdom and insight. And then I can see where all the mystical dots connected, and it's like, oh, I picked that belief up here. I picked up that mechanism here so that I could receive love. And I thought that was a way that that worked to receive love. And that's not, you know, and realizing I can disengage so many of those different patterns. And anywhere where there's been so one of the things that has come up for me that's interesting, and it's really coalescing to a deep space now, and I've had to really just kind of allow that to happen instead of trying to make it happen, or you know, because I'm used to being in command of the ship. But in those moments when my human is going through that new calibration, I just surrender into it. But it's that my natural inclination is to love everyone and everything around me to such a depth degree that I have in so many times in my life forsaken myself. And so what that creates is a boomerang where then I go, okay, I'm going to create these boundaries, or in some cases walls. I'm going to self-protect and guard myself like a guardian, like an angel, like a mother, like a priestess. And I'm going to create those conditions for myself, and nothing can come in to this that is not holy, sacred, divine, and all of that. But even beneath that, because that's such a place that so many of us operate out of still in the larger overall spectrum of things. But instead of doing that, what if I can go down, like get into the depth of realization that all that exists is pure source. All that exists is my I am presence. Nothing else exists except for that. And focalize and cultivate that awareness and that knowingness at such depth that everything in my experience constantly reflects pure source back to me. So I feel like we talked about like going through the cobwebs. I feel like this has been a time of like, it's not even like, it's just like little things in the corner, right? Because everything is pretty darn sparkling clean. And I've worked on this for over a decade, but there are those places, and the way that I've been experiencing them is it's such an extreme of duality. So for as pure and sparkling and pristine as that light is, I have gotten to go to the root of these visceral memories, patterns, programs, belief structures, constructs. And I've been sitting with that, the extremity of those dualities side by side, and just allowing myself to go into them and love myself unconditionally throughout the whole process. I'm like, this is here. I trust it. I trust it. I trust it. And I just keep going through all of those different layers. And of course, through that is birthed more love, more purity, more strength, all of that. And so the coalescing has happened at a greater depth, but that being with all of that, like, wow, where did I pick that up? Or I didn't even realize that I was living so much of my life based off of somebody else's, like how much my sense of self was tied into somebody else's projection of who they believed me to be based off of their own limitation. And just,
Sorry, go for it.
That's all. You go. Yeah, please.
No, I love that. And I feel that really is the opportunity that we have now more than ever, is to really go in and look at those structures, those beliefs, those constructs, those what is really behind the scenes of the consciousness that is here physically having this experience, because there's so much more that we've yet to even begun to understand and tap into. But it's like we have to make space energetically. And the more that we're wrapped up in the busyness of outside, which there's a lot of programming right now designed to get everybody focused on particular topics, it's like it's a distraction. And if we sit in that calmness of what's happening outside, ourselves, our higher selves can go, hey, let's clear this. Are you ready to die? Are you ready to be reborn? Are you ready to go into a chrysalis? Are you ready to transform? Are you ready to fly? Multiple times. It's I keep getting the theme death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth. And as soon as May 1st hit, it was like, that's that, whatever April was, I was dying. And now I'm being reborn, and I probably die again multiple times, and then I'll be reborn again multiple times. But it's like we're being given all of the tools, the know-how, the steps, but are we going to actually listen to it? And if we listen, it's easy. Like I even had stuff come through today around pieces from 0 to 7. I was just being shown little, almost like flashcards, movies going across my eyes of certain things that were still playing out into this present moment. Wow. Like I would say like I'm a pretty clear vessel, but there's still so much, there's still more. That's the Fibonacci sequence. We kind of go round and round, but it's so much easier to do it now. If we were trying to do this 10, 20 years ago, the general frequency of the planet was so much harder. It would have taken a lot longer. Whereas now we can clear through this in a matter of weeks or days, sometimes even hours, sometimes even moments. Sometimes all it needs is for us, our consciousness to go, oh, that's that thing. Oh, sweet. Okay, let's release that. Boom, done. Okay, what's the next thing? It's like a game.
It's just change. Well, change is the name of the game. Really. And like how seamlessly can we be in the flow? So one of the insights that has arisen for me too is like harmony, safety, and perfection are core words that I focalize in this journey. So if something is arising in me, I am safe, everything is perfect, and I'm going to be in harmony with myself in this moment. So if that means I put my hands on my heart, on my solar plexus, I hug myself, I love myself, like no matter what's going on, I'm just going to harmonize with it, because that's what creates the natural alchemy and transformation into the next, you know, we'll say highest, more brilliant, radiant expression. It's what allows more of the light to shine through, me to come into fusion with more of my oversoul. And that's an ongoing process, because our oversoul, because I've seen it, it's like the holographic, it's like a new level comes in, and then a new level comes in, and a new level, and we're constantly fusing with these layers of our oversoul blueprint. So then the question is, how seamlessly can we live in the embodiment of our divine I am presence, so our multidimensionality, be expanded out into the field of all that we are, and live in perfect love from moment to moment to moment, in love in action, being a caregiver, or in being in engaged relationship with that which is before us in every moment. Like having a relationship with our food, having a relationship with our body, having a relationship with all the gorgeous, beautiful things that surround us. And that's what starts to bring the magic forth into our experience. But we're having a relationship with self. So when I look into the world, I'm not imagining it as something separate from me. I actually see it as my body. I see it as my quantum body. I'm like, this is a part of my body. I'm going to care for this like I would care for this, because it's the same thing. And so another thing that I have recognized, in some of the places where I've had to come into deeper alignment in my own life and go through some massive shifts and releases, I've been called to let a lot of things go, where I have been engaged in situations where that truth is not being lived through fully, because my devotion is to that. It is to, because I believe that our purpose and our service is exactly precisely where we stand right here and now. In the way that that may potentially express itself through our creativity, our legacy in the world, our business, our service in that way, that's one beautiful element of it. But we are living that through in every single moment. So my question is, I'm aligning with the beings who are living in service as a natural emanation of the love that they are in every single moment. And I have become acutely aware, which has been in moments challenging and in other moments extraordinarily heartbreaking, of where that is not necessarily the case. And I have had to release some of those things from my experience, but also with that, such a profound, like so much more love and true love, where everybody is in a space of, I've got you, I'm celebrating you, you're amazing. It's just that affirmative, it's divinity, it's true divinity, everything built off of pure love and pure celebration and pure divinity in all moments, which is, I think that this can be one of the challenges for both you and I imagine many people at certain times, is we know what the highest reality is. We know what paradise on earth is. We know what it is to be living in actualized ascension timelines constantly. And so it can be a little bit disruptive or disharmonious in our soul, in our spirit, in our body, when we're not witnessing that all the time, because we know that that's what is accessible to all of us. And so it's like, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we all doing this? Why are we not all choosing this? Why are we not all selecting this? And it can be heartbreaking, because we know that that's where the fulfillment is, and that it's so vital. It's vital is what it is. It's vital. It is rich with life. It is rich with love. It is rich with playfulness. It is rich with magic. It is all of that. And that we select these other things as diversions, because we think it's going to be the thing that gets us there, when the obvious choice is right in front of us all the time. So one of the things I've seen is people seek out distraction. So it's like separating from the present moment to go to this thing or to go to that thing, because we think that that's the source of the pleasure, but it's really the connection to our own self, to our own power, to our own sovereignty, to our own infinite nature, that is what will fuel us in every moment. And every other result in our reality, anything tangible that comes, is always, it's a byproduct. It's a byproduct of us living in that alignment. And that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for the thing. We're looking for the frequency that we believe that that thing is going to connect us to. So what we're always actually even seeking is our own alignment to the glory and the magnificence that we are, and then having that mimicked to us by our reality in every single moment of our existence.
Yeah, agreed. And the biggest thing that stands in people's way is the mind, because the mind holds on to familiarity. The mind likes to sabotage. The mind likes to keep the being held in the comfort and awareness of what it already knows.
Yeah.
And to truly walk this path, you know, I've witnessed in my own journey, like if someone was to say to me 10 years ago that I would be here where I'm living, having had the experiences that I've had and the travel and the relationships and just all of it, I really would not have been able to connect with that version of myself.
Yeah.
But yet here I am 10 years later, and I kept aligning to my heart and my frequency and shifting my frequency through shifting what this was telling me was reality, and listening through feeling. And I feel really blessed to be where I am now in my current experience. The external reality, I'm in the jungle, which is a very vibrant, transformative, powerful place for my consciousness to have decided to live in the middle of what's happening in the world. But what it's teaching me is death and rebirth. It's teaching me how alive and connected everything is. The jungle is a very powerful, powerful, powerful teacher. I'm only just starting to come into full awareness and presence of everything that I've been experiencing here this last year. It's like now all the dots are connecting up. And I find the struggle for many people is they're trying to work out the how before they've just surrendered and taken a breath and actually question and ask themselves, like, how do I want to feel? How do I want to, what do I want to experience in my reality? What feels abundant to me? What feels joyful? And I find most people, they don't know their why. And when you don't have your why, the why is that thing that you could stay up till 2 a.m. studying and wake up at 6 a.m. and you would do it all over again. That why is your passion. It's your purpose. It's the fire that ignites the root, the sacral, and all the way up into the cosmos and all the way back down into the earth again. Yeah. And we can become so stagnated by the normalcy of what we perceive reality to be. Yeah. But if we continue to go inside of ourselves and seek to cultivate that true divine connection to source, which can only happen through our vessel, we can have teachers and read books and support. And they are all mirrors reminding us how we make our own connection. Yes. And if we get that in alignment every day, which in my opinion, that always needs to be the priority. Yes. Did you connect to yourself today? Oh no, but I'd rather talk about these. Right, well, let's do that first. Yeah. Let's connect you. Did you expand your auric field today? Well, no. Let's expand you so big that you understand that everything is possible given enough time. So that there is no longer the contraction in the problem of the self-made beliefs of what reality is, and we can just really open and stretch everything out. We are such humongous beings of energy, and when we really expand out, it's like, wow, we're infinity. We're never ending. And it just makes the kind of the focus that the mind was kind of wrapping us into, it's insignificant in terms of the grandness and the love of what we truly are. And I just keep getting the message every day, like, it's time to align to your why. Everyone, it's time to align to your why, because when you've got that thing, it's like, it's priceless.
Yes.
It's priceless. It's how bestsellers are created. It's how mums miraculously manage to raise children and get a first with honors in their university while studying nights. It's the thing. The thing is creative, pure source energy that wants to come through us, that wants to experience its own unique individuality, yet also know its divinity.
Yes.
And
it's individuality through the lens of divinity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the place and space of instant miracles too, because when we're choosing from our I am self and we're open, I love the photos of the 5-pointed stars and all the stars that are open. It's just the flower of life, baby. Like, we're just open into the field of that. And when we are choosing, like the vehicle, so I had a client say this to me the other day. I love my clients, like literally the most brilliant, loving, aware, connected beings that I have the honor of sharing this journey with. I'm like, where did you come from? Thank you for existing. She said to me, my greatest joy is the vehicle of my awareness. The vehicle of my awareness. So being in the grand embodiment of the I am presence, being aware of self from that space all the time, and directing and guiding the ship and choosing from that space, which is what allows for instantaneous miracles to unfold, because now your whole creation is working for you and on board with you and a yes to you, and you are choosing from the bigger self. So I even feel like all of the things that we go through, the traversing of, and when we're not feeling that great, it's because we're in a limited identification of self. Something is unfolding and unwinding itself where as you know, we call it the human and the divine self. There's so many, like the small self, the big self, all of that. I call it the drop versus the ocean. I'm like, I'm either a teeny tiny drop in this moment, and you can feel it when you're the teeny tiny drop, because you feel like a teeny tiny drop. Literally. Or you're in your power, and you're in your joy, and you're in your vibrancy, and you're choosing, and you're creating, and you're celebrating, and all of that. And our systems are constantly going through an expansion in capacity, is the way that I see it. I feel like that's the real work that we're doing, truly, like in the spiritual realms, is we're just supporting one another to opening into greater and greater capacity constantly, to hold more of ourselves and to create is more of who and what we truly are. Because really the where we're going is flow. I mean, the highest, it's just the pure radiance. It's like a fire hose of light radiance coming through our heart in every moment. That is our highest service, us just being that in every moment. And so getting to a space and place where that is open and we're able to do that seamlessly without the mind, as you said, causing us to link into belief patterns, limited identifications of self being here or there. But it's such a multidimensional space that we're actually really being everywhere simultaneously, but we're not attached to a future or present moment. We're just experiencing the magnificence of our multidimensionality here and now. Like there's so many places. It's alignment, like you were saying too, and alignment is the number one priority always, and alignment is the magic anyways. So it doesn't matter if you're working in your garden, or if you're on a bike ride, or if you're making love, or if you're in San Jose at the market waiting for the bus, or you're working in your business. It doesn't matter. Like all of the actual crystallization of outcomes, so to speak, happens through our alignment. And so the alignment is actually the outcome. The alignment is the outcome that produces the result. It is the result that produces the outcome. It's a bit reversed from how we typically think of things. So being in our alignment is numero uno priority always, because it's what's doing all our field is constantly harmonizing and synchronizing to our state in every single micro moment. So the moment we shift into alignment, our whole hologram shifts into alignment. The moment we shift out of alignment, our whole hologram shifts out of alignment. And it's all beautiful, but we're just mastering the seamlessness of how do I stay in that alignment?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is that. And it's something that we have to be mindful of. I always share this with people. It's like, imagine if you just come to Earth and you're experiencing for the first time being in a human body, and you wake up out of bed. Like, how would that pillow feel on your face? How does like the touch of the sheets feel between your skin? You wake up and you go and have a shower, and it's like, wow, thousands and thousands and thousands of droplets of pure crystalline water cascading down through your body, and you're like, woo, you're feeling this like jet wash of beautiful energy. You go to sit and have your first meal. Maybe you have some chopped fruit or something, and it's like bringing it to your mouth really super slowly, making a connection, like thanking the fruit, thanking the farmers and the growers and all of the people that brought it to your plate, and just imagining the taste bursting within your mouth. Like, some people feel that that's too much, but I would say that when we are out of alignment and we're feeling a low frequency and the mind starts taking over, just these simple little things of coming back into awareness that we're in charge of everything. Yes. We're in charge of everything when we have the consciousness to remember that we are in charge of everything, because that's when we become so present with our experience that we do create from 0 point. And we create from the quantum realm, and we experience instant manifestation. I had this last week. I suddenly had a severe back pain, complete, just like crippling pain, almost like it had been this chronic pain for months and months and months. I mean, it came on within 2 days. And what I was being shown was just my belief of having lack of support around me. So that was my story. And then my ego was kind of playing the sub story, looking for like tangible evidence. Yeah, see? And and this and this and this. And my heart's just like, what are you talking about? But I was kind of just, as you were sharing earlier, about just going in to both aspects of self and sitting with it, sitting with the emotions. So I let the sense of self have what story it wanted to, and I just listened and loved it with non-judgment. I'm like, wow, you really think that? Okay. And because the jungle is an amplifier, and I also live on it's just all pure crystal quartz in the earth here as well. So everything's like, where my ego was wanting support and wasn't receiving it, when I surrendered into that, and like all of these people came out of nowhere and had the exact kind of cream that I needed for my back that I thought I couldn't get here. Somebody else was like, I have this light thing, we can do this thing on your back. And then someone else came forward, and then I was walking down the road and it's like, oh, I fancy this particular meal. I'm like, oh, it's so hard to cook my back. I'm like, no, that's fine, just keep it really simple, you'll be fine. And then my friend texted me, and he'd cooked the exact meal that I was thinking of. Like literally the exact meal to the little piece of lettuce. It was the exact meal. And so I went to bed and I was like, okay, thank you for reminding me of this. And then obviously the next day, the back and the severity of it just eased so much, because I went into it. I felt it. I sat with my emotions. I sat with my ego. I sat with my story. And I allowed myself to be soft enough so that the consciousness could come in, the universe could come in, my higher self could come in, my full presence could come in and go, you are the universe, you are supported, you are here on a divine mission, but you are here to experience and express yourself and receive in ways that you would have never have dreamed of on your own. And I feel how so many people, they come to earth, they understand that they're these galactic beings, but they just feel such a sadness, a sorrow, almost depression, deep depression, and complete disconnect of support from the universe. And they run around trying to make businesses out of their services and just completely go through these struggles time and time again. I'm like, remember how loved you are, because you are pure love. You came in as pure love, and connect to that part of yourself and let the universe take care of you. Let it open up. Let the door open. Stop trying. If you're trying too hard and stuff's coming up, it's like, just surrender and allow yourself to shift frequency. As you were sharing, like, you know, if you're late and scouring your head and you're driving in a car and, you know, people are going to beep at you, and probably someone will smack into the back of you. Quite often happens, because it's like you're just like attracting that energy. Whereas if you just take that moment of a breath, wow, I'm driving a car right now. I'm driving down the road. I've got some beautiful music on. I'm late, but who cares? There's no time. You know?
I love you.
Like, oh yes, this is how it is. Beautiful.
Yes. Such a the exquisiteness of that is it in those moments. I think it's so sacred, because even, I mean, everything's sacred, but even when we don't feel our connection to all that we are, we're so unconditionally loved that our reality, our higher self, our big I is like, here's all of this that you need to come back into alignment. And so that's like just those are some of the most tender moments that bring tears to my eyes when that happens. I'm just like, thank you. Like, thank you for reminding me.
I am loved.
And I can let myself receive support. And, you know, and it's an interesting thing to look at too when that's not happening. It's like, where am I withholding from my own self? And where am I not trusting all as the divine, as the I am presence, or am I just not letting myself all the way in? Or where am I questioning? So this is an interesting thing in this true Tantra, which I think is a way of life in every single moment, is how I have been initiated. It's like, for me, it has been an act of opening to allow the divine in more and more, and trusting and knowing that everything that presents to me is God. It's not anything else. And so I don't have to question it. I don't have to play this weird game with myself where I'm like, should I let that in? Should I not let that in? Is it safe? Is it not safe? And it's like, well, it's whichever one you choose it to be. And if you trust it as the divine, then it's just your pure reflection and it's safe. And you're actually bringing yourself a gift. So are you going to actually let that in, or are you going to push it away? And so becoming aware of all the interesting dynamics, because it's just all us. We're always just interacting with ourselves. So that's a fun space to go. And like, I like to use the mirror as a reflector, because sometimes it keeps things so clear. When I'm like, okay, if I'm feeling this thing and I've got it going on, I'm like, what am I seeing? Or what am I choosing to see in the outside world? What is presenting itself to me right now? Because what is presenting itself to me is showing me exactly what I got going on. And it's so easy to then just discern. I'm like, oh, I got that going on. I got that going on. I got that going on. And so then I get to identify at which level I have that going on. So sometimes it's like where I have allowed myself to adopt at the level, to keep it even more simple on a deeper level, I just see everything as data. So it's either pure genius, which is source intelligence, super intelligence, source consciousness, pure truth. And it's either that data or it's not that data. And so I get to see where I can clean up my data field, and I get to bring things into even more harmony and synchrony with divine intelligence, so that all of my coding is reflecting back to me the purest reality, the purest experience, the purest relationships that are available to me. And that's even how I look at life optimization. I'm like, it's always just the next level of purity. I'm like, I'm going there. What's the next level of health? What's the next level of love? What's the next level of wealth? And all of that in its most pure, pristine expression of self. And just because, and I want to ask you this question too, is what is your why? Because I was in a space and place in my journey that I was just in the midst of a whole plethora of gorgeous entrepreneurial groups, leaders, light leaders, all of this, and just kind of taking that big view and recognizing that all of it's a story, and that anytime we can select the completion of any of those stories, we don't have to be on a progression to ascension. We can just be ascended, and all of that, and just observing all of these different storylines, and even just like missions to save the world, and the place where that was derived from within, right? Like, essentially, I am on a mission to save myself, but I'm expressing that through this mission of saving the world, and just becoming so hyper aware of all of those different storylines. And so I was like, okay, self, I want to know what your purpose is. Like, all of this is beautiful, but so I followed that thread. I went through an actual kind of labyrinth. I have a whole notebook page where I was like, okay, there's this purpose and there's this purpose: life, flourishing, growth, expansion, creativity, all of this, and to suffering, like going through all of that. And then I got to like the point of the arrow, and the response that I received was, my actual purpose as consciousness is to realize infinite potentials and possibilities, to experience myself as self in the most pure state, to have as many novel experiences as I possibly can, to experience and to create and to realize infinite potentials and possibilities, which is never ending. So it's just this constant journey of, what remarkability can I experience next? What can I create next? And from a space of pure desire and pure joy, which was even just a massive shift in the transformational realm. I'm like, because as it shifts from self-improvement and growing into or becoming that thing, to realizing and accepting that we are that, from which positionality true growth can take place, true expansion that is rooted in wholeness can unfold, and then it's just pure creation from that point, from that anchor point. So what is your why?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I had a similar journey and experience, and I actually wrote a post about this a while ago, that ascension is just another trap, like the word ascension, the terminology. And as soon as we use those terms, and we are using the terms of, we're evolving, we're putting power outside of ourselves for the future version of self. Whereas we talk about embodiment, it's really about being pure consciousness in your body, experiencing your self-expression through your body, experiencing unlimited potential through your body, expressing yourself as a divine creator through your body. And, everyone has a tough time to swallow that, because they love to say, I'm a starseed from the 12th dimensional galactic realm, and I just want to do my work and then leave Earth. I'm like, well, honey, you're going to come back again and again, because your consciousness wanted to come into pure presence with who you are now. So there's a disassociation that has been had when it comes to ascension. And because of that, many leave their body to understand a lot of the higher dimensional awarenesses and experiences, but then to really come into the body and to really witness life in your divine self-expression through your body, you are already here. And that's why people say you're already whole, there's nothing left to fix or heal. Well, when you come into the realization that you are this divine creator, but you allow yourself to feel back in with that energy, you understand that your DNA crystallizes harmoniously to the presence that you can cultivate within your being. Your words are your biggest anchoring and activating tool to harmonize yourself into higher dimensional awarenesses of your physical reality. You can experience your reality in 4D, 5D, 6D, 12D if you so desire, and you also get to experience it in the human and the physical. So I always use Tony Robbins. Many people have a very interesting opinion about him. When I tune into the energy of him, his sole purpose and his why was to teach humanity about unlimited potential.
Yes, totally.
He's someone that understands the rules of the game, the rules of the quantum field. He doesn't necessarily share publicly so much about the multidimensional awarenesses, but he has it within him, from feeding one family to feeding 1 million, to writing a book, to giving those proceeds away to feed more. That's one fragmented aspect of his soul's journey. So my personal why, wakes me up early in the morning, that keeps me thriving all day long, that allows me to sit in the depths of apparent sometimes despair when all this like sludge is releasing through my system. My why is, who am I not to go all the way with myself?
Yes.
Why would I limit my energy, my creativity, my play, and my vitality? And when it comes to, well, we're here to help shift the collective of humanity, and we've got our, that's just a way that just happens simultaneously with your frequency.
Yes.
People feel, feel your presence when you're out in public, or when you are, making a video, or you write a post, or whatever you're doing, when you are in pure presence, pure harmonic frequency, connected to your divinity, your truth. And it's like, it's just such a beautiful space to be in. It's like it rubs off on other people, and then they find their why. I feel so many, I get told this so much. I have a big purpose, but I'm scared. I'm like, no, the big purpose is just you expanding your energy, because when you're that expanded, whatever it is that, you're being downloaded with, it just comes through naturally. The rest, it just comes through naturally.
Yeah.
It's, we try to jump, the mind tries to jump too far, and then it kind of almost becomes a deer in headlights. Oh, I'm not ready for that. What, you're not ready for expansion? That's all it is. Expand your energy and let everything come into alignment in perfect time and harmony. And there's an evolution that happens to the why. My why 10 years ago was, I wanted to do massage therapy. I wanted to, longer than that. I wanted to connect with humans in a way that I hadn't before. And through my awakening, that evolved into the energetics and the reflexology, and that evolved into something else. And I've just continued to expand and evolve. I had no idea 8 years ago, that I was meant to be running a business online, doing what I'm doing now, doing these activations and talks. But here we are. This is the why right now.
Yeah.
I may wake up tomorrow and go, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something else.
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's the Marianne Williamson quote. It's our greatest fear is our power. But it feels like I even felt in there as you were sharing, there's like again, with that separation or dissociation, it's from being the fullness of who we are in each moment. Because there is we're literally only driving the now. So if we can think of the vehicle of our awareness as being that massive, open, expanded flower of life, we are the one I am presence. It's very circular. And all of the multidimensional, I would often refer to as a disco ball, because that's all the multifaceted dimensions of consciousness and geometry and mathematics that pulse into the toroidal field ultimately. But it's being online with that every single moment. Like it's becoming awake. It's like an animated divine avatar is what it is. Like I am fully awake in my master avatar embodiment in here and now. And I'm allowing all of the fullness of my light and my power and my energy to course through me into each moment. And what was the other piece that was just wanting to come back in? And letting that be enough. Like the mind wants to grab onto something around, what does that look like? Or what if I don't become fully all that I'm meant to be? Or what is my big mission? What is my big purpose? And I even see this in the self design realm, where it's like, I'm always just looking at what is the happiest, healthiest, most vital, shiny version of me, so that I can pour that light out into the world within and around me. But it's like, we create these identities that aren't necessarily fully aligned, or we have this idea of who we're going to be, but who we actually have the capacity to be is so much more than anything that we could conjure with our mind. So I think there is even a space and place where the mind just tries to grab onto or becomes overwhelmed with or fearful of, what if I don't reach that full potential? But just being online with the fullness of our radiance here and now is what will cause that to naturally unfold itself in ways that are beyond conception.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true, because we try to figure everything out. You know, we try to figure all the steps out, and we're like, okay, so what do I do? How do I get to there? What if I don't get to there? Maybe I'm not ready to go there, but how do I get there? You know, it's just like a freaking hamster wheel, like round and round and round and round. And eventually we're kind of like, okay, I'm going to stop. Okay. And it kind of will kind of keeps moving a little bit, and we're just kind of teetering forwards and backwards. And how can we understand that we can control our reality, create from 0 point, and manifest in the quantum realms that comes into the here and now, but can come into totality with the universe and completely to surrender to the exact steps that we need to take.
Yes.
And that's the relationship that we need to continue building and cultivating. Like I manifested my perfect dinner. You know, there's so many magical moments that I've witnessed like that, and I continue to witness, but it takes for me to shift my mind into alignment with my heart. And I just had massive deja vu then when I shared that. So we've probably already had this conversation in a parallel universe.
This is so, I just had a beautiful sacred conversation with a being last night, and they had the same exact experience. They're like, oh, I'm having major deja vu. So we're creating a grand synchrony of timelines right now.
There we go.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. And it's like that, being in the relationship to what our intuition is guiding us in every moment. And then there's even a space and place where it's beyond creation. We're just being in the resonance of it. And it's like beyond definition. It all just unfolds itself automatically. So all of the rituals and this is what you have to do to manifest, or this is what you've got. It's like, no, you just be it. And it just happens. It just happens. It's automatic. It's an automatic arrangement, a synchrony that unfolds itself. And that's the magnificence of it, where it's always a surprise and a delight. It's like, oh, how did you know that I wanted that? Like, you're amazing. It's such a gift.
I used to tell myself that if I didn't do my specific morning practice, that my day would be ungrounded and not connected. And I just started to laugh. I was like, wow, you tell yourself that? So when I do a morning practice, sometimes I do it in the afternoon.
Yes.
You know, sometimes I don't do it at all, but I'm mindful. I'm like, how's my frequency? Do I need to do something right now to shift that? Half the time I'm doing things and that I'm aware of that I'm doing it. It's really just to calm the mind down. So it's kind of had something, it's like the busyness, and then I can come into full presence. Yes. And, you know, a lot of the ways are kind of becoming obsolete, and they will more and more. But I would say it's follow your own flow, follow what feels good, follow what works for you. Yeah. And you know, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm in with myself for like 3-4 hours before I even like turn the laptop on or I talk to anybody. Sometimes I wake up and I'm good to go. I see some people, I'm outside, I'm like, bing, 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 bing. You know, it's such flow. It really, really, really is. But there is something to be said about cultivating a healthy pattern over a number of days to help overcome the internal saboteur that is used to operating in a lower frequency or is used to protecting the self. So I create 21-day containers, and I write on a piece of paper in the next 21 days what is going to bring me optimum flow, what is going to align me to my highest version of self, and what's an activity or something that I just want to be mindful to do often because I know that it brings me joy and it helps me stay in the frequency. So I'll put silly things like minimum of 1 hour of sunlight a day, reading my book, going swimming, sitting by the river and connecting with the rocks. Like I'll write those things down, and then I kind of tick them. And then at the end of the 21 days, I buy myself something nice to celebrate. And I kind of look at the patterns and I go, what am I easily doing more of? And what did I kind of avoid? So the last 21 days, avoided writing my book. Didn't even look at it. I'm like, okay. So why is that? What is the avoidance of the thing that you know really connects you to source consciousness?
Yes.
What is in the way of that? Oh, wow. You've been trying to work out the how, jumping to the end result.
Yeah.
And so it's just a healthy thing that I do. I mean, anyone watching this, it might be fun for you to do, but I always it's like creating these little mini containers for yourself. It's like you're waking up for the first time again in your day, and the container is your day. How can you be present? How can you connect with your shower and your food and things? And sometimes when we create like a month container, like, okay, this month I'm going to put energy and focus into X.
Yeah.
You know?
So beautiful.
Especially right now. We have so much opportunity for that.
It really is like so rich and so lush. It's like, here you go. Like we put ourselves on a timeout so that we could do all of this. And it's like, so a couple of the things that were coming through as you were sharing was, I'm just going to go, well, whatever, the womb is coming up. Oh, so one of the things that I asked myself because I had to go through a whole, that my journey has been like, I mean, I went through the fires of Hades at depth and intensity and had to rewire my whole system. In the way that I did that, well, a couple questions I asked myself, is it positive and is it healthy? And then I make my decisions through my womb. So from the space of the mother and the galactic mother at that. And that is the fastest way to unwind trauma, to release, to clear, to reboot, to reset our system when we're feeling any kind of disharmony in the body, is to melt deep into the sacrum and into the womb. It's the seat of letting go, and it's the seat of our creative life force. So it's relaxing all of our body and breathing our energy, relaxing all of our energy into that space and circulating it and breathing it through. And that will start to replenish all of the major systems and functions in our body in record speed. So, and that's where embodiment lands fully. So for all the beautiful sacred galactic beings who are like, I was home and it felt like utter peace and absolute love and total safety and total resonance and total harmony. And then I came here and felt this dissonant density. Like, what is going? And so they try to, people try to leave the body because they want to feel home again, and they're not totally sure how to do that. So it's resting into the galactic womb of creation, of infinite potentials and possibilities, of utter safety, learning how to trust and to trust ourselves, to trust our body, to nourish our body. And then from that space, we start to make better, that's where major awarenesses land also, of self, of who and what we are, of how safe we truly are. And when we start to witness that unfolding enough in our reality, we start to trust it implicitly, and then it just speeds up and becomes exponential, and we have fun. So one of the questions to cultivating those habits is, I had to ask myself, like, because it can be challenging to discern what's pleasure, right? Because sometimes what pleasure is not the healthy thing. And so to make the most holistic choices of what actually is my highest alignment, is it healthy, is it positive? And from that observational perspective, that neutral space, or would I give this to a child? Or would I do this to a child? Or would I place a child in this environment? If my child in particular, and if the answer is no, I'm not doing it. If the answer is yes, okay. And so starting to cultivate then from that space what those habits are that really enrich and fuel us, and then they become hardwired in. So our intuition will guide us. So then the mastery actually becomes mastery of listening. So I'm fully present, I'm on board, and now my intuition is going to guide me. So this is where we start to release. This is where we release the systems, and we release the rituals, and we release the rigid structures to be in pure hyper-calibrated flow, because our intuition is already hardwired for positive, healthy, constructive habits, fruitful habits. And then we just listen to what we need on a moment-to-moment basis, and we follow that, and we engage what that thing is with us throughout the day. So like you were saying, the morning ritual or practice, it might be the afternoon practice. It might be the midnight mystical practice. It depends on what day it is. And, you know, of course, there's gorgeous technologies. One of the things that I provide for my beautiful sacred people is called aura ring technology, until we get those habits hardwired into our system. And it actually measures what we have going on biosystemically so that we can see, what do I need right now? Do I need nourishment? Do I need sleep? Do I need activity? And then once we start to cohere with our own organic flow, it becomes very intuitive to live in that space. So this is even a process of shedding all the layers, all the rituals, all the processes to live in pure presence, multidimensional presence, in love, in the fullness of our I am self constantly. And this is just what we're all coming into as a collective unit, as a collective being. And I remember one time I was with my friend who we were actually on a journey, and it was a mild journey. And I was doing this dance that I do with my mind. So he's such a powerful reflector to me of my own shenanigans. And he's like, it was primordial source with primordial source. And we're both just looking at each other in the fullness of our I am. And so I'm asking all these questions. And he was just so still. And he'd go, like, he would just point me back into the moment and point me back in until I finally gave up asking the questions. So he was such a powerful mirror of how the mind tries to, but what and how and where and when, and he was like, and he just kept pointing until I finally laughed, and I'm like, it's going to be this until I just get here. until I stop playing this game with myself and realize that here, who and what we are here is so much more than enough. It is precisely exactly all that we are looking to experience through anything else. We just want to experience ourselves in connection to ourselves. That's it. And it's so more than enough. It's rapture. The birds affirm. Or the gecko affirm. Oh my goodness. And yes, so it's like this has been such a massive global invitation to notice where we do try to separate from the moment, because that's really all that separation is, separating from the love that we are in the moment, and come back into deeper unity from a space of multidimensionality, and to live that through. The future is flow. As I always said, the future is flow, and the future is now. And that's what we're all shifting into. So there are no rules. There are infinite possibilities. We are divine source. And we get to observe where we have created rules and limitations and constructs. One of my favorite ones is that in order to be successful, I have to be on social media every single day. It's like, is that a man-made construct? Or would you who has created that? But there are so many different parts of our being that play into these rules in these games, instead of recognizing that we are fully the source and constructing our entire reality by design in accord with our own heart and our own soul. And when we do that, everything flourishes at unprecedented speeds, because we are in harmony with ourselves and we're not living by somebody else's rules.
Yes. Amen.
Oh.
This has been amazing.
Yeah.
Been able to connect with you and invite people into our conversation. And
yeah. I love you. I can't wait to just have sister sleepover time soon and hang out. And
it's your birthday. You're 7. Aren't you 37 today?
I believed that I was turning 37.
No, you're not.
I know. I didn't know. I actually literally was
younger.
Oh, I thought that's what it was. And I was like,
today you're 7.
That's excellent. I will receive that fully. My big, voluptuous, hot pink, red Care Bear heart oozing light into the world. Yes.
Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I love you profoundly. And I am thankful for your presence in my life. And
Me
the
too.
gorgeous journey that we have been on together, and so much more beauty to unfold, and just the profundity of your wisdom, the multidimensional beauty of your presence, and your lightheartedness and your humor and your ability to see things for what they really are and bring lightness is such a tremendous gift. It is such a gift. I love you so much. I'm so thankful for you.
Yeah, same. Ditto.
All right, beautiful sacred being. Go have fun, play, nourish, enjoy your evening, and we'll connect soon. Thank you so much for joining me.
Team. Mwah. Much love.